Okay, DMV. So NAR settled their commission lawsuit, $418 million. So what does that mean moving forward for buyers? So now that, well, one, let's just say this, commissions were always negotiable. There was never any scandal to raise commission rates or any of that. Commission rates have always been negotiable. And I think what it is just transparency now. What used to happen is when you sold your house, you would pay your listing agent. Let's say you paid them anywhere between 4 to 6%. We'll just say you paid them 6%. You were paying them, and the listing agent was taking their commission and splitting it how they chose to the buyer agent. So now people see this two different ways. So one, okay, just like when you have a contractor come to your house and you contract them and they're going to do the roof and the flooring and the crawl space and the kitchen, the cabinets. Well, you're just paying them one lump sum, but they're subcontracting all of these different people out to do different things. You don't ask them who's getting paid what. Why is the electrician getting paid this much and the plumber's getting paid that much? You just give them the $50,000, $100,000, whatever, and they divvy that up where they see fit, who gets what. All you know is that the work is done, which was the intention behind the listing commission. And then the listing agent says, hey, I'm going to take my commission and split it with the buyer agent for bringing a buyer, and I think I'm going to give them 2.5%, 2%, 3%, whatever. Okay. The other side of that is, why should the seller be paying a 6%, a 5%, whatever commission? Well, if you're going to take that money and split it with the buyer agent, how about I'm just going to pay you? The buyer agent should be paying, the buyer should be paying their agent, correct? So it's, two-sided coin, however you want to look at it. But now coming down the pipeline, what's going to end up happening is that in the MLS where we say what the buyer commission is, that will no longer be there. It seems that's what they're getting to. And the buyer agent, the buyer agent will be paid by the buyer. And I've heard some people say, well, why don't they just, the buyer agent commission can just be negotiated in the sale of the home anyway. Well, if it does come down to where the DOJ says that that is not an option, where the sellers cannot, be responsible in any way for paying a buyer agent, then what's going to happen? Well, then the buyer is going to have to pay for their agent. And when you do sign a buyer agency agreement, it does say, what the commission is, whether that's 2.5% to 3%, whatever. And some buyer agents right now, they're already charging their clients the difference in that percentage if the seller doesn't pay it. So usually, though, 9 times out of 10, the seller is paying the listing agent. The listing agent is splitting their commission with the buyer agent for bringing the buyer. Now, what it looks like is likely to happen is that, hey, buyers, guess what? You can't afford a home? Then you won't be looking for one. There will be no just, oh, I want to go look at houses over the weekend, or I'm coming into town. Can you show me, XYZ property? You're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. If you don't have the money to pay your agent, then you won't be getting a home. Or you can go maybe possibly to the listing agent, but they're not going to represent you. They're going to be representing the seller. And so this is just going to change the way that transactions are done in the real estate world, which I'm not mad at it. It is what it is. It's going to come down to this or that. We just don't know how all of this is going to be facilitated. But it looks like come July, things are going to become more clear, and the industry is going to change. So buyers just, have in mind now that you will be responsible. And, I used to ask this question all the time. How did it come down to that? Like, why don't buyers just pay their agent and sellers pay their agent? And the answer you always get is, oh, buyers can't afford all of that money. They can't pay any. Well, but the sellers can. The other flip side of that is, what industry do you walk into? Like, you don't walk into the grocery store and fill up your cart full of groceries and then ask the cashier to put $10 on your tab so that you can buy the groceries. So just like when you're coming to buy a car, you don't walk in and then ask the people like, hey, I'm going to need you to put $10,000 towards this car. So why would you do that with the house? And some people might say, this is your biggest purchase. You should have the money. You should be paying your agent. Let the seller pay their agent. Buyer, you pay your agent, and just keep it separate. But what I think that this is really boiling down to is that home ownership, I think, is going to be more corporate ship. I think that ship is going to be corporate. And if you think about it, we say home ownership, but how many people ever really own their home? You don't. The bank owns your home. It's nice to say, oh yeah, I'm a homeowner. You're not a homeowner. The bank owns your home. And at any given minute, when they call that debt due and you can't pay it, you'll find out who owns your home. Most people will go their entire lives just being a glorified renter because they never pay off their debt, and they'll never truly own the home. And I honestly think that that's where what we're getting into, because if now the buyers are going to have to be able to pay their agent before they sign that contract. Hey, are you going to have the money? That's really going to, and 9 times out of 10, most buyers, no, they don't have that. Only a certain percentage of people are really going to say, oh, hey, yeah, I have what, $5,000 to $10,000, even more, to pay my agent for finding me a home. Most of them don't have it. So think about that moving forward. Things are changing in the real estate industry. Talk with your realtor. Find out how this is going to impact you moving forward. It's not going to impact you like right now today, but sometime this year coming down the pipeline, very likely. And you know what? If you're having, this is the first conversation you need to have with your agent. And if they can't answer these questions for you, you need to find yourself another agent. And I guarantee you, yes, there are some agents who wouldn't even know that this is happening if their broker doesn't tell them. This is not something that just happened either. This has been in the works. I've been following it all last year, and they finally come to a decision. So this is where we are in real estate. It is a game changer. The way that things are done now are going to be like never before. But as in any situation, you always have to be able to pivot. So keep it in mind coming down the pipeline. Buyer agency commissions, ?